Welcome to Cast of Creators. We're your hosts. I'm Nelson Thal.
And I'm Casey Stewart. We spent our careers in media and publishing, and now we're setting the stage for creative people who inspire us to share their stories.
Our guests today are Good Enough Live Karaoke, Toronto's best live karaoke band with over 400 songs they play and you sing.
We talked about how the band came to be 8 years ago, the hundreds of shows they've played since, and learned a bit about their group of professional musicians. This is the most guests we've ever had on an episode yet. Here we go.
Tim, Estee, Zane, welcome to Cast of Creators.
Thanks for having us.
We're
Excited to be here.
Glad you're here.
It's our first episode with 3 guests. So it is
Hell
very
Trailblazing.
blazing a new trail. And I'll tell you, blazing a new trail in multiple ways, because when I first heard about Good Enough Karaoke,
Live karaoke.
Live karaoke, I said to Casey, you mean, if I were a singer, I could go up on stage and have a backing band and request a track that I've always wanted to sing on stage, and I'd be able to sing this thing live like I was in the band. And she's like, yeah, that's exactly what it is. And I said, this is fantastic. So
and you know what's amazing is we've done 895 shows so far.
Wow.
I've been keeping track of it.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna have 896 is going to be tomorrow.
Wow.
And people still have not heard of it, which is it's good because it means there's so much room for growth.
Yeah.
People have not heard of the concept of live band karaoke, not even just us. People are still when I tell people, they're like, what do you do for a living? I'm like, I have a live karaoke band. They're like, live karaoke band, what's that?
Yeah, people don't.
And then you tell them and they're like, oh, that's a really cool idea, is sort of almost the response you get almost every time.
Yeah.
I bet. And I was looking at the clients you've played for: Amazon, Google, Staples, E1, YouTube. I mean, you've got the every brand.
We've played for everybody.
For everybody.
Yeah. And people will hire us for anything, like high school graduation parties, retirement parties, weddings, it's
bar mitzvahs.
Yeah. Bar mitzvahs. It's anything. That's the cool thing about it too, is that it's a different show every night, because it's different songs, different singers, and then it's just a different situation all the time. So, keeps me on my toes, and it's there's certain things that are the same, but there's certain things that are different. So it's always just, you can plan ahead, but you're walking in the room and it's going to be a little bit different every time, and you got to tweak it to make sure that it suits the circumstance.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're a guitar player?
Guitar and keys, yeah.
Guitar and keys. Oh, fantastic.
And you ladies?
I play bass.
Cool.
Oh, cool.
And I'm the host, and I sing backup vocals.
Love it.
Oh, love that.
And a little tambourine.
So fun.
Marine game is out of.
Oh, thank you. When the song's called for it, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's your concept originally.
Where did it come from? Where did this idea come from?
The idea was actually from an ad agency, because I was the sound tech at Parts and Labor, Maddie Matheson's restaurant at the time. So I was there almost every show they had the whole time they were open. And Andrew Hussey, who was the sound tech at the Hoxton, which was the same owners as Parts and Labor, he called me and he said, there's an ad agency that wants to have a karaoke band in 2 weeks for their holiday party. But I don't even know if a band like that exists, and they don't have a very big budget. So if they do, they're probably not going to do it for a corporate party. Do you know anybody who could just throw something together, or do you want to do it? It doesn't even have to be very good. Just pull 20 songs together, and if you can just make it happen on any level, then great, it's a success. So I did that and called 3 dudes I knew, and none of them knew each other.
Yeah.
But I was just okay, well, Greg plays bass and Jesse plays guitar, and pulled a band together. And so then as we were practicing, we're like, okay, I've got to learn 20 songs in 2 weeks, and all right, next song, let's do the next one.
Yeah.
But I think
it's good enough.
Yeah, it was good enough. Next one. So that's where the name came from. It was kind of a joke.
Yeah, it's
and
great.
then as time has gone on, I still love the name because it sort of undersells it in a sense. Mm-hmm. People are like, oh, good enough. They kind of expect that we might be kind of half-assed or something. But then when we go up there and we, know the songs.
But not only that, the singers.
Yes.
They don't have to be.
It lowers the pressure.
Not be intimidated.
It lowers the pressure for the singers,
but
for sure.
I like the name that it sort of under promises and over delivers, because it's also very common for people to say after they see it, they're like, oh, you guys are really good.
They're so tight.
I was expecting you guys to not be that good, and it was going to be kind of like the original pitch of doesn't have to be that good, it would be fine. It's but you got all the guitar solos, and you're really nailing these songs. It's oh yeah, this old thing.
Yeah, that's great.
895 shows later.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. They really are good. I mentioned that
I'm assuming you sang.
I have sang with the band a bunch of times. Like one of my favorites, obviously the Gladstone, which we all were there.
The TIFF parties.
Yeah, and TIFF parties have been my absolute favorite. Like the mongrel party that happens at that venue,
Campbell House.
Campbell House.
Always a good time.
Yeah.
And I have been like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to go to the party, and then I'd see Lauren, and Lauren's been on the podcast, and be like, oh, Tim and the band are playing. Okay, let's go, because we know it's going to be a good time. And I mean, I've sung all kinds of things from like Johnny Cash to like Spice Girls, and so much fun.
Yeah, that's the other thing. It's just like there's all different genres because we got to have something for everybody. With the playing, since we're at all these different circumstances, it's like got to have Spice Girls, but we also have the Misfits and Red Hot Chili Peppers and whatever. We got to have something for everybody.
How many songs are you up to now?
Up to 250.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
So walk me through, if somebody knew, like how many different people do you have in the band? Is it constant or do you sub them out?
About 14 right now.
Okay. And if you
we play as a four-piece, though.
You play as a four-piece.
Yes.
Okay. So you spool up a number of different musicians on the full catalog.
And that's one thing that sort of, in this one sense, holds us back of why I can't just add like, oh, I learned these 100 songs. Let's just add these. It's like I got to wait for everybody else.
Yeah.
And be reasonable for them to be able to learn these songs. But at the same time, having all these people allows me to just book shows whenever. It's like, oh, you're not available?
Yes.
Okay, then we'll go to the next person.
You don't want to be at the mercy of one player.
Exactly.
to book a
And
show.
you sometimes play different venues with different people on the same night.
Yes, exactly. So I'll have like a whole, I look at it as that I'm trying to set what the brand is.
It's running.
Yeah.
But then we also have, if I have a booking already on a date and then something comes in and it's big money, I don't want to turn that down. No. So
or if it's super fun.
Or super fun, because, sometimes those things don't coincide.
Yeah.
And, if it's super fun and there's not a lot of money, maybe we still want to do it anyways.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, that way, so I'll try to book a whole other lineup and try to have them replicate the show as if I was there.
So, do you remember as a bassist spooling up your entire catalog's worth of music? Like, how did you practice for it all? He gave you the list of songs.
Well, yeah.
That's a whole story in itself.
Yeah. Story in itself.
Because Estee actually, I'll start the story and then you can.
Because I was like, I know there's
I will introduce the story here. So, at the beginning of the pandemic, we were, in our bubble, because she and I lived together. Yeah. So I came up with the idea of, why don't you play bass? She had been to hundreds of shows before, of our shows. Yeah. So she knew the catalog, had sang with us so many times. And Estee is a gynecologist, a physician.
Natural bassist.
Did not need the gig. But I was like, that way we can practice together. And so I had a short scale bass, lent it to her. And we took a picture, and within a month, she was playing her first show ever at the Phoenix.
Wow.
Terrifying.
So,
absolutely. Because anybody can suggest, like, if I'm coming up on stage, I've got one of 300 songs to toss
It's like an exam.
It's like a jukebox.
And we lowered it to 100 songs for that very first show.
Okay.
Because she had basically 4 weeks of never having played bass before. Now she's got to navigate playing this instrument.
Do you have the sheet music in front of you or anything, or is it all just
tabs? Yeah.
Tabs.
In front of me.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, we have charts on an iPad.
Yeah.
But it was amazing that, it was in the middle of the pandemic. It was August 20th, 2020 was that show at the Phoenix. But I called some of the other band members, and just based on availability, nobody else was really around. They were out of town. We were working remote. So I was like, okay, Estee, you're going to play at the Phoenix. And she just started playing.
Very impressive.
I'm like, no.
The whole show. I'm like,
wow.
Like, no, I'm not. Not
Very
me.
impressive.
I'm like, oh, yeah, yes, you.
Oh, man.
And then also Janine, who was on your T-shirt there.
Yep.
She was playing drums, so she was in our bubble.
Yeah.
And she had also she had sang, we had the list up to 400 songs at one point.
Oh, my
God. And over a 3-year period, Janine had come and sang about 200 of those songs. It's very common. Usually people have, even if they're like regulars at our shows, maybe they have 2 or 3 songs that are their regular songs that they're going to sing. But no, Janine was working her way through the list.
That was her mission.
So she had sang like about 200 songs, and she had taken a few drum lessons, in the, previous year.
Yeah.
But was definitely not a pro drummer yet. But I was like, you know what? You're going to play the Phoenix. same thing. She's like, me? No, not me. I'll play one song maybe. I'm like, oh no. You and Estee are going to play the show with me at the Phoenix.
Seen Janine and I at the
Yeah, were you guys freaking or what?
Totally freaking.
Oh,
the
yeah.
2 of us. We're standing next to each other, looking at each other, going, "What's passive and active on the amp? I don't get it."
And it was like the middle of the pandemic, so there were no shows happening.
Yeah,
and
so were there people there?
We had 100
so
people.
I showed up and I was like, I'm so excited we're playing a
Yeah,
show. And
and
these 2 were like, oh.
And big props to Lisa Zabitnu, the owner of the Phoenix, who had it was her idea to approach us, and she saw that, we've been friends on Facebook for several years. So she sees how much I promote the band and everything, and she just needed, the Phoenix is a venue. They're not promoters.
Yeah.
So they're used to running the shows, but they needed somebody else to actually promote it. So she's like, do you think you can get 100 people out? And then they staged the room really nicely. Like they had these giant leather couches.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So we were selling the tickets.
Spaced it out.
Yeah.
It was
because
like
of the social
everyone
distancing,
had
you
like
still
their own
need to have-
VIP booth, basically.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah,
gorgeous.
it was basically like VIP booths. And so we were selling the tickets in blocks of 4 or 6 so that you could be seated together and still have that, 6 feet or whatever.
That's
That's nice.
And
That's
because of-
great.
Yeah,
and so
that's
there's-
like a
show I'd
Sounds
love
very
to go to.
civilized.
Yeah.
Can we do that again?
Yeah.
I like that.
And that's what we were saying. I was like, if this is the future of what concerts are going to be like moving forward, like I'm
it's
okay
like,
with this. Your own little space, your own little dance floor. You get to
And
chill
it
with
just
your
felt,
friends.
after 4 or 5 months of being inside and not seeing anybody in person, just the feeling in the room for those 100 people being there, it was just like, oh my God, we're in a room together. Again, like everything's not over.
People were tearing up.
Oh yeah,
I
it was a
bet.
very emotional.
And, and I could tell even just from the amount of staff that they had there and what our ticket prices were, 100 people. Like, I know Lisa was losing money.
Yeah.
She was already losing money by having,
Not being open.
Yeah,
not being
empty
open.
venue,
And then she
basically.
was opening and losing even more money just doing the show to give her staff some work.
Yeah.
And everything. And so it's just like, what a woman. And also, anytime I've talked to any of the people that work at the Phoenix, everybody's just like, Lisa, she's so great. Like, everybody just has nothing but amazing things to say about her. And I feel lucky that we got to play 5 shows there, because we did the one in August 2020.
Yeah.
And then there was then there was more lockdowns.
Yeah.
And then, so summer last year, we came back and were able to do 4 more shows. She had us do a monthly.
David Bowie was on that stage.
Yeah.
So was I.
Like, we would never get a chance to play at a venue that size, because normally it makes sense for us to be playing to 100, 150 people.
Right.
Because we can only do 35 songs in a night.
Okay.
So if there's 500 people there or there's 100 people, we can still only do the same amount of songs.
Yeah.
So it makes sense for us to just play more shows to smaller groups. So to get to be in this giant room that's normally a 1,500 capacity, the full...
Yeah, because that's a pretty big space.
Oh, yeah.
Big
yeah, and they
space, big
staged it so well.
stage.
Yeah.
Professional lights, professional sound, like countless historical legends and performances there. And yeah, we got to be there because the pandemic happened.
Yeah.
Like, it's wild to think about it that way.
Yeah. Silver lining.
Yeah.
Did you come off the stage after your first show and just like instantly hooked, like couldn't wait for the next show, or what was that feeling like?
I've been hooked on the band since I sang the first time, but
not playing bass in it.
I mean,
is it different than just singing in it, playing an instrument? You find?
I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of the singers, even when I was a singer, right, cheering people on. So when I'm on stage, I'm like, people come up and I go, "Oh, I like your shoes," and that was so good, and so that was so good, and coming off the stage that time, yes, I was relieved. There's no doubt about it.
I think you were
did
ecstatic.
have more confidence
Because she sees women give birth all the time, and after they give birth, they're like, what a relief, I have my baby. And I think after that show, she's like, the show is over. I didn't bomb it. I actually did really well. And it was just like, what a relief.
Yeah.
I've got it out, she's got it under her belt.
Yeah.
Yes, it's all bloody and full of mucus.
And now 2 years later.
I love it.
The point is, you made it. Yeah. It's yours. You made it.
I made it.
And no one can take it away from you.
Yeah. And I do think, 2 years later, I figured when she started playing, would probably take about 2 years to like really start to feel comfortable. And I was right. And, so it was good to have those early shows where she was able to still like, work really hard, pull it off, and then have a little break and just have some time for practicing.
Yeah.
And then, now, you've probably done, 20 shows this year or so?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
There's 2 other bass players in the band.
Yeah,
I have Craig
cool.
Mailman, who's the original day one bass player, who's always been in the band.
Yeah.
And then Mike Bell is the other third bass player. So sort of just try to split it up between everybody.
How many drummers?
Three right now. We've got, and then Janine's coming back, actually.
Nelson's a drummer.
Oh, yeah.
And can probably play a lot of songs. Has a drum kit on his cottage.
I'll tell you, even for me, going through the 300 of them or whatever songs, how many songs, it's actually quite a daunting task.
Oh,
to
yeah.
just go
It
over
is
and
so much
spool
like
up
an
on
exam.
300.
What questions are they going to ask? Like, your audience, and you go, what songs are they going
Right.
to pick? It's like I feel like I'm at U of T all over again.
Yeah, because you can only prepare so much because...
Yeah, I bet.
If it was even, 40 songs and you want to cram for that and try and get them all right, but it's like when there's hundreds and you're like trying to, funnel down of how you're going to...
Yeah, especially if you're not really used to playing other people's songs. Like, I think of how many times I've actually played other people's songs. Not very much.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know? So it's totally different animal playing other people's songs in that sense.
Yeah,
And
I was always just in punk bands before, played bass and drums in, not very popular punk bands. And then I started playing keys. I started teaching myself keys, would have been around 2012, and then started going out and sort of doing sing-along gigs. I remember you were at my New Year's Eve party.
I was.
When I opened it.
Yeah.
With,
and there was like music on different floors and all things happening, and like a super awesome party in the basement and all the lights. That was a great time.
Yeah, and I opened it with the sing-along of me playing piano in the living room, and I sort of did that early thinking so this is even before I'd started Good Enough, but that was sort of my first foray into doing covers. And I just, wasn't trying to play them exactly how they were, but just kind of banging out the chords and trying to do a sing-along. And I was surprised even that night at what a good response it was getting.
It was amazing. That was like one of the best New Year's ever.
Oh, yeah.
That was
definitely, those were the peak years.
Such a good time. Oh, thinking back.
You mean peak years for you in this in
Oh, no,
or
for
peak
my
years in just
from my house party.
The
for your house
famous
parties. Okay.
house party. 159
in
man
life
party.
in general.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I guess you have not heard of
He hasn't been, and he doesn't really know about your legendary house.
Because that's another thing is that before the band, my house parties was sort of what I was known for around Toronto. So I would throw these big New Year's Eve parties at 159 Manning.
Okay.
And it started with, and then I also did a North by Northeast barbecue. So the very first New Year's Eve party was, I think, 2007. And I'd moved to Toronto January 2005, went out the end of that year and was sort of disappointed by New Year's and was like, you know what, I could throw a better New Year's Eve party. So the next year, got like 20 of my friends. We all put in $15, got a keg, decorated the house, had a great time, and then the next year we got 40 people in 2 kegs. Then the next year, it was like all the bands that were associated with the house, the people that had practice spaces or were at the house, we did 3 bands play. So it just kept
expanding and
getting bigger and bigger, and then to the point where, I think maybe 5 or 6 years in, then, George Strombolopoulos came and he was tweeting about it, and that sort of impressed a lot of people. And then I ended up getting a job on his show the next year as a result of that, of him coming to the party.
Yeah.
Wow. Then I got a job as the audience coordinator on season 8 of the TV show of George Strombolopoulos Tonight. And then the year that I worked on his show, because that would have been August 2011 to June 2012, that was the one year I didn't throw a New Year's Eve party because I was working 50 hours a week at CBC, and then I was so I'd work during the day at CBC, then I'd ride my bike out to Parkdale, and I'd do sound at Parts and Labor.
Yeah.
Right.
I remember those times too.
Yeah. So I was just working all the time, but I mean, all those gigs, what am I going to get rid of my Parts and Labor gig because I had the CBC job? No, I'm getting, I'm eating food made by Maddie Matheson every night, and there's great great shows in the basement. Mark Pesci was booking all these amazing acts that would never play in a basement that small normally, but had bigger bands coming in. So I was working 90 hours a week, but it was fun. Yeah, it was fun, and it was all worthwhile stuff that, like, I've got stories and experiences from all that. So that was the one year I did not throw a party, and I went to Halifax with Sloan for New Year's Eve that year because I have a bit of an association with them, and I was like, guys, I got to do something for New Year's Eve. I don't have time to plan a party, so I got to have something with a story. Can I just, like, if you'll pay for my flight, I'll just be an extra pair of hands, and, like, I'll be a stagehand. You guys don't even have to pay me or anything for it. So we did that, and then the next year brought the New Year's Eve party back, and yeah, it was just like then I started getting media coverage from it each year too. So that was the one thing that I was running around, playing in bands and taking photos and doing this and that. And every time I would throw either my New Year's Eve party or the summer barbecue, I'd have some media outlet would call me, and I'd get to do
interviews.
There's
all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, and then always I'd get stuff from that too.
So
and
these
then
parties
TIFF
ended
stuff?
Yeah, and then the TIFF stuff is like, we're actually talking to them. Hopefully I'll find out this week if they're doing another Mongrel party.
Oh, let's
So,
cross our fingers.
yeah.
I hope
So, hope they're
because
doing it again.
so fun.
The best.
Awesome.
Were you playing inside or outside of Campbell House?
Inside. Second floor.
Stairs.
On the second floor.
Yeah.
Yeah. So usually what they do is they'd have us play for the whole week. So we're the one act. They have like, I think the last year we were there would have been 2019. I think they had the Beaches play that
were
year,
there, yeah.
and maybe Deer Rouge, and so they have like a lot of bigger artists play outside, and then we'd be up on the second floor, and we'd be there the whole week that they'd be open.
Like the house band.
Yeah,
The
like the
resident
house
band,
band.
yeah.
And we'd get a lot of corporate events from that.
Awesome. I bet.
Yeah, throughout the year, as we'd be getting a lot of these private and corporate events, we'd say, look, where'd you hear of us? Campbell House from the Mongrel party. So
Great party too.
yeah, really great party. It's just always been a good look for us, and
Yeah. It's on brand, I think.
Yeah.
And you moved to Toronto from
Windsor.
Oh, okay.
So I was actually
You're also Windsor too? Awesome.
I was actually on
That's
on
how I know
cruise-
Lauren.
Yeah,
we went to
right.
school together.
because Lauren's from Chatham.
Yeah.
And then lived in Windsor for a while. So I was working on cruise ships. I was working for Princess Cruises doing theater production.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, in 2004, I spent pretty much the whole year. It was 2 6-month contracts. So I was home for a month in Windsor that summer, and then went back out. So it was like when I first flew out to Fort Lauderdale, and then did these 10-day cruises where it was like, it's a giant ship. If you have not seen a cruise ship before in person, it is crazy when you see it the first time because you don't have them around here.
No. It would be, yeah.
It's like 17 stories tall. It takes 5 minutes to walk, from one end to the other. 1,000 crew members, 2,000 passengers.
Wow.
So, yeah, the first time I went down there was, 10-day cruises. So we'd be going to Jamaica, Costa Rica, Panama Canal,
I've
Mexico.
done that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then at the season change, we'd go through the canal up and do Alaska. And then 7-day cruises, and then so I went home for a month, and then came back and did basically the exact same cruise, and then I was home in Windsor for a vacation, and I had become a huge fan of Vice magazine maybe a year and a half earlier, and had not really seen it before, but just during that time when I was on cruise ships, I was like, I really feel like I should be working for Vice, but I don't know what I'd be doing, and like, here I am stuck on ships.
Yeah.
And I went home and I was partying with this friend of mine, Dragon, and his real name, Serbian name.
Awesome.
And he was also a fan of Vice, and he saw an ad on the website saying that Vice Toronto was hiring. Awesome. Like, dude, they're hiring. Go get that job. So I hit them up. I didn't know anybody, but just sent them a long, crazy email.
Wow.
Got a job interview, and then ended up running into Eric Lavoie, the guy who interviewed me. I saw him at the Chelsea Room that night, which is now the Black Hoof, and partied with him, and I got the job, and that's how I moved to Toronto.
Awesome. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I totally love Vice so much. learned about Vice in 2004. I lived in Australia, and they always had them outside this one store. So I always picked them up. And when I came to Toronto, that's when the Vice store was there. And I went and I actually got a back catalog of magazines, and they were the same covers that I got in Australia and Canada, but different ads. And I still have them all. They're like a pride.
See,
like the Vice, I will never get rid of.
Tim's got them all too.
I've got them. They work so cool.
I was the production manager for the U.S. and Canadian editions. So when you're saying about like different ads and different, I'm like, yeah, that was my shit back then.
Yeah.
It was like, coordinating, sending ads to the international editions and stuff. But I was.
Well, that's what I got.
Yeah, so I was the second person hired at the Toronto office.
Wow.
And then they closed that Vice store 5 months later and moved it out to Parkdale. But yeah, I was there for 4.5 years, and that's how I got introduced to Toronto. Because I growing up in Windsor, I'd always go to the States when I'd go traveling.
Yeah, of course.
Hardly ever came up here. Did not know the city. Did not grow up with much music. We never had cable, so it's just like it felt like just coming into a totally foreign place. But I had this Vice business card and a Vice email address.
That's a ticket right there.
Yeah, and so I would just go out and like anything I could get on the guest list for. If it was like a marketing event for vacuum cleaners, I'd be like, great, put me on the list. What's going on here? Nice to meet you. I just was going out meeting anybody I could just to figure out like what is going on in this city, because I had no idea. I had no history here.
Yeah, I love it. Awesome. And when did you move to Toronto?
I moved to Toronto in 2010, also for a job with the federal government.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Do you still work there?
I don't work for them anymore. No, it was a long 10 years with them between Windsor and Toronto. And I quit there a couple of years back to try and focus more on performing. And my career's had a crazy trajectory since then. We won't totally get into it, but
I remember like talking with you about this, and you wanted to be doing more creative things.
Yes.
And didn't want to do that anymore, which I can understand.
You worked doing that in government?
I worked
creative work.
It was wild. It was like, I did love what I did for so long, but then, changes always happen. And, with the power shifts and all that, I got really burnt out and I got sick at the same time. So it was just like a perfect storm. And I was like, this is my time to step away. I want to focus on other things. So I'm just going to get out when I can. And here I am a few years later, and right now for this summer, my focus is solely on music, which is wild. But I'm just so happy. I'm so grateful to Tim for, all the opportunities that he's given me with GELK and with other things. Like, I can't tell you all of the bucket list checks that I have from being associated with this band, like singing at the Horseshoe, singing at the Rivoli, singing at Lee's Palace, singing at the Phoenix, getting to back up Chris Murphy from Sloan at the Phoenix, who I've been singing along with since I was in high school. Like, just all of these wild experiences. And now this weekend we're going to Boots and Hearts, and it's like, okay, to be fair, I'm not a country fan.
Right. Trust me, you'll have a good time.
Yeah,
exactly.
You can't not have
Are
a
you
good
going?
time.
Number one.
No, I'm not going. I'm going. Lauren's getting married, and I'm going to her wedding thing in Chatham.
Stop, Lauren.
But I've been to Boots and Hearts, and I'm not usually a country, but I love to. I love a good time.
It's a music festival.
Exactly. I was just, that's what struck me the first year. This is our third time. So the first year, we went and it was great. But then
the energy is so positive.
And I camped the second year. So then I got the whole band camping this year.
Oh my God.
Now just so we have the full experience.
Yes. Oh, that's the thing. It's like everything else aside, like getting to go to a music festival for free. Awesome. Camping with my friends. Awesome. Shania Twain is headlining. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
This will actually be my second time seeing Shania.
Oh, amazing. I've never seen her live.
The first time was at the Grey Cup, 5 or 6 years ago. She was the halftime show.
Yes.
And Choir, which I'm a part of. We sang the national anthem at the Grey Cup. So then we got to be on the field for the halftime show. So I was like right in front of the stage.
Oh my God. Cool.
So second time.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
We're gonna try and make something happen.
Yeah, I feel like you guys have such good vibes, and like I know you long time, and like I feel like something great's gonna happen.
Out of
and
like the core number of songs that we do, like, man, I feel like a woman is.
What if she sings? with you.
That would be
my
insane.
God.
I'm putting it out there.
Yes.
Shania.
Come to the Monster Energy drink stage.
Yeah. You never know. I mean,
You never know. Anything
Magic
can
can
happen.
happen.
Yeah,
Anything can
we're
happen.
gonna play for 3 days, so maybe we set a rep the first couple of days, and then she
All
gets
the-
word of it.
All that has to happen is someone tells her, and she'll say, "That's really cool," and then maybe she'll just show up.
Exactly.
We've had some crazy people, some crazy
Lots of the official Good Enough Live Karaoke motto is "We play, you sing," but it should really be anything can happen because there's just, especially at the TIFF parties, there's always big names.
any
there.
Fresh West sang
That wasn't that the closing of the last party?
That was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some- I-
the last song we played at the last TIFF party.
I think he
His
did,
own song.
"Let Your Backbone Slide." That's his song, right?
Yeah.
I think that's I think that's the
That
band
would be
did
so
play it.
funny.
Yeah, because somebody in the band noticed him from across the room, was like, "Maestro Fresh West, get him over here." I can't
remember.
Yeah.
It's the song with the These Eyes sample in it.
Is that it? I don't know.
So each one of those days is a karaoke set.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's different because the singer's different, the songs picked are different.
Yeah.
Right, well, is the
Often the
singer
band
different
is
each
different.
song?
Yeah.
Yeah,
People from the audience.
Right, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
all right, great.
Like on these
so I'm thinking
flashcards,
correct.
right?
Yeah.
Right.
So it's a completely. That's why you can. The band can do so many shows because it's a completely.
Yeah, there's no
different
point in
show
having a radius
every
clause or
single
something
time.
with us
No.
because
Yeah.
it's a different show every time.
So you have somebody from the band in the audience sort of getting a
to your
line
vision.
together?
That was
Like how
the
do you
song.
how do they organize?
So that's
So, yeah,
Zane's
so
job. So
Zane-
Zane is
okay.
off.
The host.
Zane is off stage, and so she can.
Oh, you'd be good at that job.
Yeah.
You must be good at that job. I could see you doing that.
I like the official
She's
title
the
as
best.
host. I like to say general karaoke support.
Yes.
yeah, it's
I-
not the MC necessarily.
Yeah,
Though
but-
she is on the mic a bit, we can banter back and forth.
Okay.
But since we can't answer questions when we're actually, literally up there playing guitar, you need somebody to.
I'm the buffer.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do everything from helping people pick a song if they're stuck between two. I pump their tires before they get on stage. As I mentioned earlier, I sing backups and harmonies. If they fall off the tracks, I help them get back on, assuming I know the song pretty well, which I try to know most of the songs, not all the songs, but I'm getting there.
I love to pump tires too. Though.
Yeah,
People are
it's
like,
just
oh my God, I'm so nervous.
the smallest thing,
Exactly.
as soon as someone is walking up to the stage, just going, "Hey, welcome to the stage," and seeing their face change because it can be very daunting.
incredibly
for people.
daunting. You've
Smile
never
on
been
their
on a
faces once
stage?
they've done their first
Yeah.
song and it went okay and everyone's cheering them. It's like
It's incredible.
Oh my God, I'm hooked.
And they're hooked, and then they're like,
what do I
"When
do
can I
next?
do another song?"
Yeah.
Yeah, immediately.
I'm gonna come to the next gig.
Yeah.
There was a guy from
Yes.
Mississauga the next day. He was at Rec Room Mississauga. And it was his first song. Next day he came to Rec Room Toronto.
And then
he followed us.
We had a guy
yeah.
just at Union Station on
Yeah.
the Tuesday, and he
Glenn,
came out
yeah.
on the following Thursday, which was our very next show at We Chief, because he just was like, "This is amazing. I can't
Yeah.
get enough." And that guy has big Rockstar energy, so you could tell he was stoked to sing with the band.
Yeah. He knew the songs really well.
Oh yeah,
Do you film the shows?
No, we should. We have a photographer at every show. That's actually a new thing. Because I've always been, I was known as a photographer and videographer.
Yeah.
I've shot 350 videos for Choir. But then I'm never in the videos or the photos. So that was one thing that coming out of the pandemic that I focused on is trying to hire a photographer for almost every show.
Yeah.
So we can capture and document what's going on.
and it's really added a whole
Oh,
other
yeah.
level.
But I think the next step will be
You could set up something like this, and I'm
Yeah.
sure
Well, you have live streamed shows before.
It's true. Yeah, but it's a lot because I'm booking the shows,
Yeah, you're
coordinating the band,
yeah.
and so it's just to take on another whole thing is
it's another whole thing.
it's another whole thing.
Yeah.
And it's definitely
I hear
not
you.
But
automated,
that being said, another added value that we have is a lot of aspiring professional singers will come sing
yeah,
with
I was
us
gonna
and
say
shoot
that.
their own video, and then it's they have this
Oh, that's a
awesome
good
little
idea.
demo video of them singing with a real
band.
professional band. And so that's always been something that I've really appreciated about what we do is we're helping people do the thing that they want to do. It's
Yeah.
amazing. It's not just a rock star experience for that 5 minutes. For some people, it's like, a professional tool that they can use to further their careers.
So I was thinking of the people in my life who sing. And just thinking about, letting them know about you, because they would absolutely cherish the ability to just go up on stage with a full band.
Yeah.
Because you never get that opportunity. Like, even as a musician, it's quite nice, because if I was interested in playing more, it would be such a phenomenal outlet to be able to join a band that is doing shows.
The amount, because we play 3-hour sets, no breaks.
It's amazing.
So that's sort of like one of the things with the branding. It's like 3-hour show, no breaks.
Right.
And just to have that opportunity, like the chops of anybody in the band,
you level
improve.
up
You start leveling up because you play, even if it's once a week or a couple times a month, or if you end up doing, like, we've been doing a bunch of four-day runs recently, like, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And so if you're scheduled to do all 4 days in a row, like, by the end of that 4 days,
you're
it's
a better
like,
definitely
yeah, you definitely.
You just did an intensive workshop.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then you multiply that by doing it all the time. Like, we were doing 200 shows a year for 3 years leading up to the pandemic.
Wow.
So
mostly in Ontario, or are you going
mostly in Ontario, yeah. Which is another amazing thing, being able to make a living from this, but I don't have to tour. So
I don't know anybody who can really tell that story.
Yeah.
That's so rare.
It's so unheard of.
Right.
And that's why we do unheard of things like playing a 3-hour set.
Yeah.
Because it's like,
how long is the set normally when a band plays?
like a lot of cover bands will do 3 45-minute sets.
Okay.
And that's sort of standard. But we found when we started doing this band, if we take a break halfway through, then half the audience leaves.
Yeah,
and then
kills
you're
the
calling
momentum.
people
Yeah.
up. And it's just like, for what we do, it just makes more sense to stay and just do one long marathon set. And when you first join the band, because I did get a bunch of new people, because with the pandemic, having to get some new people in, and even with them, it was like, man, I'm really sore after that first show. And it's like, oh, don't worry, you'll get used to it. I remember though how it was like, feeling like you're hit by a train the next day. And when you're not used to playing for 3 hours straight.
Yeah, it's like delivering babies all night. It really is.
You would know.
It's a marathon.
Yeah.
I was surprised how much work it was.
But you're starting to feel like, I think you're starting to bounce back faster from them, right?
Yeah. No, it's great. It's great, especially when you're playing the shows and you really do level up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet.
And then that makes it a lot more fun too, because you're not worried about how to play the songs. It's like, as you play more,
You can just relax and play.
Exactly, and just enjoy it.
I can say for myself personally, I've definitely become a better singer from all of the GELK shows, because I also front my own cover band,
Which is called
Gen X. Thank you, Tim. We're a 90s rock cover band.
Cool.
And just by sheer virtue of doing it constantly. Thank you. Yeah. You just get better from doing it. You put in the hours.
Singing. It's like just having to do it and having to like back people up. It's just like my own singing voice has improved
Definitely
so much over the years.
Do you guys have like a favorite? I know you mentioned playing some legendary venues. What's like your favorite venue that you've ever played? Everyone.
For me, the most consistent one is probably Heartwood Concert Hall in Owen Sound.
Okay.
That's that's owned by Greg Bottrell, who's a long time. A lot of people would know who he is because he was the booker for the Rivoli in the '90s. Okay. That was in their heyday. You know, when like all the big grunge bands and stuff had passed through. Greg was booking that back then, and he also had a place called Lava Lounge, which I think was before my time in Toronto, but I think was also a pretty known spot. And then he owned Supermarket. Yeah. He was one of the people that opened that, and then had to divest himself of that during the pandemic, but held on to Heartwood. So we've been playing Heartwood Concert Hall for, I think, 6 years.
Awesome.
Every other month. And then even during the pandemic, when it was legal to, have reduced capacity of like 50 people even, we were up there. Me and Estee actually did a show March 2021 as a duo. So it was her on bass, me on guitar and keys.
Oh my gosh, you're so impressive.
With the drum machine. Because, just with social distancing, we were like, this is the most socially distanced version of the band we can get.
Yeah,
with a drum
for
machine and just two of us.
You're in each other's bubble already.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then, there was the precautions that there was the plastic barrier, spraying down the mic between singers. It was a lot of work.
Yeah.
To do it, but at the same time, it's we had to figure out some way to keep it going in whatever ways we could.
Yeah.
But the reason I love Heartwood is they've got great backline, so they have drums and amplifiers there that are really good quality.
Nice. So you don't have to lug everything
Exactly. There's power. There's outlets all around the stage,
wonderful,
all four sides.
I love that.
And it's just everywhere you look, there's power outlets. It's easy to plug stuff in. The sound is great.
Like the power
lights
outlets.
are great.
Yeah, Nelson loves power.
Green room.
Yeah, they have a nice green room. It's just each, there's so many details about that place that just make it a positive experience for the artist. And it's a mid-sized venue. He did a bunch of work on it just pre-pandemic so that he could get his capacity up to 180.
Cool.
So it's not a huge spot, but it's big enough that, he can bring in some mid-sized acts.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
And we
good food. You get fed well.
That's when they don't have a kitchen there.
I love when you post. I love when they feed us at gigs.
Oh, yes.
On social, because it'll be Tim sitting there with maybe a beer and a plate of food, smiling at the camera, and I was like, "That's a good one, Tim."
Yeah,
it's a great part.
There's oysters.
Yeah, there's oysters and lobster or something. It's this is what they feed us at a gig. It's not a bad gig.
Yeah. What about you guys? A favorite venue that you played at?
For me, it's Rec Room Mississauga.
Yeah, I know you love that room.
It's my people.
Yeah.
I just love the people who come up and sing there.
Yeah.
And they usually pick completely different songs than anywhere else.
It's true.
It's true, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
A lot of newer pop stuff.
pop, Prince, reggae.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Esty, did you grow up in Mississauga?
No,
that why?
I grew up in Montreal.
Oh, Montreal.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
But her office is in Rexdale.
My office is in Rexdale.
Okay.
It's true. It's true. It's, yeah.
It's a really nice, diverse
crowd, yeah, which is really nice.
Fun.
Yeah.
They like to change things up.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I think my favorite venue we've ever played is probably the Great Hall, just because that building is so beautiful. The room is so beautiful. The stage is the traditional proscenium arch stage. I'm a music theater nerd, so that's where I started my performance career. So I just love that stage so much. But I think my favorite show that we ever played was the Buffy show at the Horseshoe.
Oh, yeah.
For me personally,
How was that?
Right.
it was a whole Buffy the Vampire Slayer themed show. Tim got me on the bill at the last minute because I was just like, I need to sing at this show. Yeah, it wasn't even a karaoke show.
Yeah, so we were this woman Jackie Marcolescu had recruited us to be the backing band for those. So it was her concept. I've only seen 2 episodes of Buffy. But I'm always up for whatever.
Yeah,
People
and
approach
Buffy
me.
has such diehard fans.
Yes.
Exactly. And I saw that from that experience. We did one show at the Horseshoe, and then we did another one at Lee's Palace, the second one.
So yeah, just the energy in the room. We did vaguely Buffy themed songs. I think one song was actually from the show, but the rest were just 90s.
No, they were on the soundtrack.
Yeah, were they all on the soundtrack?
Yeah, they were all definitely
most of them,
from
I
the
think.
show.
Yeah.
In some way.
Or related loosely to the show.
Yeah.
But yeah, just the crowd
People
was
were
amazing.
so
The energy was
into it.
amazing. The Horseshoe was legendary, and it was just that was a major moment for me.
Do anything for Halloween? Special stuff for Halloween with the band?
I mean,
We played a TIFF party in, the TIFF, the actual building.
That was
yeah.
In 2019. So that was for their fundraiser.
Oh, the one they, I know what it's called. I think I was there. But yeah,
I'm sure you
what's
were
it
there.
called? It's got a name. It's called something. It's a big fundraiser. It's always on
Yes.
Halloween.
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
fun.
Because I'm, for some reason.
Really great explanation, Casey.
Well, what's
Way to
popping
go.
in my head?
Good
I'm
memory.
thinking Operation, but
No, it
that's
sounds like Casey had a very
I don't
good
remember.
night.
I was there though. I don't remember what it's called. Boombox.
Yes,
Boombox. That's what
Yes.
it's called.
Nice.
It's called Boombox.
save.
Okay. It was fun.
But actually, our big time of year, though, really is December, playing company holiday
Yes.
parties.
I bet that's a hoot.
Oh, yeah. It's, that's the busiest time of year for us is
Yeah.
November, December.
And the best food.
Yeah. That's when I get the pictures of, love it when they feed us a
Oysters and
gig.
lobster.
Yes.
Exactly.
That one that we played, I will never forget this. There was like a whole trough running on the entire length of the bar that just had like jumbo shrimp and oysters in it.
Is that the E1 party, I think?
Yes, it was
Yeah.
at the brewery.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Raw bar.
Yeah.
That's great.
Whole length of the bar.
Oh,
It's amazing.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I bet you almost wish you had like 2 or 3 bands.
Well, yeah, and that's what I do
You got more
sometimes.
people.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Interesting, because you must have like bookings on Christmas Eve.
Oh, yeah.
You must have like a handful of bookings sometimes people want you for.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So especially that's 1 month. I mean, really, that's with doing the double lineups. Like, say, I did the first one in since pre-pandemic. This last 2 weeks ago, we were at the Wheat Sheaf and Gladstone at the same time. Since I had, we're doing every Thursday now at the Wheat Sheaf, but I'm also committed to second last Thursday of the month at Gladstone. So just double it up, and I organize it, book who's playing where. But really, the reason to do that is overall is those holiday parties. That's the time to get 2-3 lineups going.
Yeah.
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that
So
is awesome.
fun.
So you have a bunch of recurring shows.
Oh, yeah.
Where's all your recurring
Residencies,
shows
yeah.
so that
residencies.
everyone can know?
So we're doing the weekly at Wheat Sheaf, which is new. We had never played there before the pandemic. It's now being booked by Sean Kramer, who was the guy who had opened the Dakota Tavern.
Cool.
That was his thing. So he's sold it since then, and then he opened the Hayloft out in Prince Edward County, and then he sold that, and then he's I think still booking there, and then now he is booking the Wheat Sheaf. So when he approached us, because that guy's got a very good reputation.
Yeah, you're like,
book
we're
it.
in.
I'm like, you want to book me? Yes. Thank you. That's like the stamp of approval when you can get booked by Sean, I think.
Yeah.
So we're doing that. We're doing Gladstone once a month. We're doing Rec Room, Mississauga, and Toronto, which is also incidentally booked by Mark Pesci, who I know way back from the Toronto punk scene, and then he was the booker at Parts and Labor.
Awesome.
So, we worked very closely together there. So when he started at Rec Room, it's like we've worked together so much. It's a very easy relationship. And and we have Jokers in Richmond Hill is a new place.
Oh my
It's
God.
a comedy club.
Yeah.
Comedy bar.
We got to work on our spiel.
We're doing
we're
our
doing
Spritz and Schmitz.
third Wednesday of the month there. And then Heartwood Concert Hall out in Owen Sound every 2 months.
Wow, this is the regular shows on top of all the other shows.
Yeah. all the one-offs.
19 shows booked for August, and I in my Instagram archives, the August 2019 schedule came up like a couple days ago, and it was like I only had 16 shows booked that month, and that was 2019. So it's like, whoa, we actually have more shows this month than it's all the same venues
That's
as before, but we have a few more private gigs.
Awesome.
So it's like, wow, that means that we're really back.
We're
Yeah.
absolutely.
Making up for lost
Wrapping up the
time.
last few months, but this is like 2018, 2019 numbers for us.
Awesome.
Well, congratulations.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Well, the way
wonderful to hear.
Yeah, the way you guys are going, you're at $8.95.
$8.95.
You might
Big
be
party
at
at
1,000.
1,000. Yeah,
we're throwing a big party.
I hit 1,000
Yeah,
before
ready.
the end of the year. I was
Yeah.
thinking it would have to be like a month or two ago. I was like, it'll probably be like March next year. But then seeing, I think I've already got also 18 shows booked for September. I was doing a little bit of scheduling earlier this morning, and I still have some stuff open.
Yeah.
So we'll probably be 20 shows that month.
How cool would it be if the 1,000th show coincided with New Year's Eve?
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. That would be so cool.
That'd be so fun.
That would be synchronicity.
More
Yes.
bookings, more bookings.
Yeah.
Come on, Shania.
Yeah.
That's it.
And I mean, there was already an iconic moment in GELK history at the last Boots and Hearts with the famous backflip on
yeah.
stage.
Yeah.
So
Someone did a backflip.
someone did a
Yep.
backflip on stage in the middle of their song.
We got it on video too.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and that was used for tons of marketing that summer. So, who knows? We could have another magical moment at Boots and Hearts this year.
Well, that's incredibly
That's the plan.
exciting.
When's your next show? Tomorrow?
Tomorrow at the Wheat Sheaf.
Wheat Sheaf.
Nice.
Yeah, and then
Come.
Boots and Hearts all
which is
weekend. And then, it's just going to be a busy month. And then Estee and I will go to Burning Man.
Oh, yes, you're going to Burning Man. I just saw that you got tickets.
Right. Yeah.
That is awesome.
Can't wait.
Yep. So 4th time going for me.
That's like
time for her.
a band vacation. Will you be
Just the two
playing
of us.
any? So you guys are just going on vacation.
Tim has a dream to bring
I
the
would
band
like
to Burning Man.
to make that happen, to have the band. And the reason being is that
I feel like that would really go there. You know?
Yeah.
Exactly.
it's
And
a
when
vibe.
I've gone there, what really strikes me about Burning Man, because I wasn't sure, I would even like it. I wasn't sure if it would be my thing when I got out there. And then I got there and I was like, oh, this is my thing. But it's just the amount of work that everybody puts into whatever project it is. It's like nothing is half-assed. It's just like so much work.
Yeah.
And which is my thing. That's why people liked my parties at Manning. It was like all these details. I'd spend 6 months planning them and like put all these details into it so that when people show up, they're like, whoa, what the fuck is this? This is amazing. And the stuff they do at Burning Man, it's just like, it's beyond music genres or anything like that. And so experiencing that, I'm like, well, what's the best thing I do? Good Enough Live Karaoke. Yeah. So that's really my motivation of wanting to bring it out, is that I want to bring the best thing I do and be able to contribute that there. Because I also realize, to me, it occurs that like gifting is another thing at Burning Man. And so we made buttons one year, and gave those out. But it's like really the gift is giving the best of what you have. And to me, like that's. So we don't have it planned even for this year of us doing it, because I'm still trying to figure out, like, we're the only 2 people in the band that go. It's cost prohibitive. You just spend money on Burning Man. There's no money,
right?
To get paid.
Yeah.
So
hopefully not a lost leader, but definitely it's.
Yeah, it would definitely
but
be something
you get back.
Yeah.
You are enriched by the experience.
It's just a matter of financing it and figure out how to get the right personnel down there, because if I'm going to do it, I want it to be really good. And so that I'm giving the best of what I have, not, a sort of half-assed version.
Yeah, I feel that. I mean, I'm putting the vibes out. I'd love to see that. I think I would enjoy Burning Man.
Yeah, I think you'd love it.
I would, yeah.
I think I would.
I would love to go.
Yeah, but we'd love
Can
to
I just
see
say,
that.
though, as far as Tim's dreams go, his previous dream was to get the band to play at a ski resort, and we just did that.
Yeah, we did that June 2nd. We played, it was the middle of the summer, but we played a huge thing for Boston Consulting for 400 people at Mont Tremblant.
Awesome.
At the top of the mountain.
Top of the mountain.
Yes.
It was great.
It was so
and also
cool.
it was really cool because Estee got to play that one, and we go to
you guys are
we're skiers.
You love your skiers. Yeah.
So we go to Mont Tremblant at least once or twice a season the last few years. So getting to go back there in the summer, and it's like, this is the lodge. This is where it's like it looks completely different, but exactly the same.
And we got to take some of the coolest band photos we've ever taken
Yeah,
at
it's
the
true.
top of the
Just
mountain.
the views up there were amazing.
Yeah, that was a fun time, for sure.
So that was a big check, and now it's on to the next dream, getting the band to Burning Man. I don't think it's that far
Treating
out of the
all
realm
the
of possibility.
extended members.
Yeah, exactly.
Burning Man.
Yeah.
Just need a sponsor. So if anybody wants to sponsor us,
Yeah.
to pay for the band to go to Burning Man, hit me up.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
We'll talk to
Consulting.
Monster Energy.
Yeah,
when
we're
we get
putting
there.
out the good vibes for. I love when seeing people set a goal and dream of something and and do it and have it come to fruition. And I would love all these things to happen.
I still would love ski resorts in the winter.
Yeah.
We can combine it with ski.
Yeah, because you'll be skiing. I think.
the Prey.
Estee and I were able to do 32 days of skiing this last season.
Well, I saw you guys were like in the Alps and stuff.
We
right?
we went
in Austria.
We went to Austria because we have these icon passes. So
Yes, I know
with
those.
the icon passes.
Yes.
So you're like,
Those are great.
5 days at all these different resorts, and then unlimited at Blue Mountain, Tremblant.
Wow.
And we went
So-
with Steven and Jack.
One of the band members.
One of the band members. So it was almost a full band. That was going,
you're this close, guys.
close.
Ski season.
Yeah.
It's happening.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I love it. It was so
I would
exciting.
love to see all your dreams come true.
Me too.
That'll be so
Thank
exciting.
you.
Thank
and
you.
I'm excited to check out more of your sets and go live.
Yeah.
I don't know if I
You
would
will
be
have to.
singing, but
You might.
I
Come
may.
tomorrow.
I may. And
Awesome.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks,
Yeah,
guys.
that was so fun.
That
I'll
was
see
so
you on
fun.
stage.
Hell yeah. You better.
Love it.
Thank you for watching this episode with Good Enough Live Karaoke. You can see their upcoming shows or book them for an event at goodenoughlivekaraoke.com.
Find more episodes at castofcreators.com, and don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or follow wherever you get your podcasts.